part 7 of I took my TV off the wall, canceled all my subscription services, deleted all my bootlegged subscription service passwords, and you may be wondering, how in the heck can you turn that into a 7-part series? It's a gift, my friends. It is indeed a gift that I have. Okay, part 7 is going to be about, I have notes here, give me 1 second. The call to relapse, right? And relapse is kind of like saying to put the TV back on the wall, to start streaming again, or to start, having these subscription services on my apps. And by the way, I have not relapsed, and I have not started streaming again or put the TV back up on the wall, and it's been very there hasn't been this big call to stream again, and oh my gosh, but there are times, very interestingly, when there is a bit of the habits pop up. So how do we make it through those moments? And then the other bit is I'm going to riff on is the problems with the world stem from man's inability to sit alone in a room. I love that idea. And it just might be true.
You know when someone is selling from stage and at the end the audience gets up and rushes to the back of the room to buy? That's a table rush. My name is Mischa Z, and the Table Rush Talk Show is all about bringing you the tools, strategies, and tactics that you can use to grow your audience and inspire them to buy.
It's incredible how I can still have uncertainty about recording content, about putting my voice out there after 650 episodes. Oh my gosh. I just had to hit play this morning. Hit play and hit record and get rolling. So I talked about on previous episodes my fears, that my relationship with my son would end because we couldn't bond over streaming anymore, or how in the heck am I going to date now that I feel like I'm open to female relationships again, or oh my gosh, what are my friends going to think, my associates going to think, and then ultimately, what is going to fill the space? Oh my God, what can I possibly do instead? And turns out I've got great ways to decouple and decompress from the day, other than sitting on the couch and watching Game of Thrones for the 3rd time. And actually, it would be the 4th if I started again. And before I get on to the wanting to stream again, to watch shows, to put the TV back on the wall, there were actually some other really cool little developments that I neglected to talk about on the previous 6 episodes. One is that so I took the TV down August 18th, I believe it was, and it's August 31st as I record this, so we're a good at least 2 weeks in. But I rearranged the couch too in the living room. So I moved the couch so it was no longer facing the wall. The box, which is so weird. It's such a weird concept. Once the TV's off the wall, take your TV off the wall and see how your living room's situated. Oh my gosh. We're all pointed at a box. I'm sorry, it's just so funny. But anyway, I moved the couches around, a couple of chairs, re-feng shuied the living room. And a really cool side benefit was, or is that I have a little home office where I work out of, and the couch, when it was facing the box on the wall, also faced my little office. So whenever I would take a break and sit on the couch, grab a book, or maybe just, catch a nap or whatever, whenever I was sitting in that spot, for whatever reason, there was the office calling to me. And it's open space, so it's like around a corner, it's open space, so you can see my microphone, my lights, my computer, all my gear. You can see the setup, and it would be calling to me, you should be doing more. Why are you taking a break? So now when I sit on the couch, grab a book, or just sit to meditate or space out now, turns out I can space out. Oh my gosh, so funny. I am not faced with my office and it calling to me, telling me that I'm not doing enough, or whatever it is that those things call to us. And the other thing too that coincidentally happened is I was like, yeah, that shined a light on the fact that I need to get out of the house more, like go work. So I've started working remotely, like grab the laptop, and so I've made a concerted effort 4 days a week to go work in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, to rent my space, my table space, and work for a couple hours. And it's been really cool and really fun, and seeing people out there in the world. I'm sure a lot of you do this, but it's been awesome for me, and it's been very productive. So that's been a very cool development, side benefit, coincidence, and it also has me rethinking the way I have my office set up. So I might, I've got a couple bookshelves, I might set them up as the barrier between the office space and the rest of the house. I don't know if it's a barrier, it's something that, blocks my view of the laptop, the microphones, the lights, the podcasting space. So it's been a great development at the same time, because my awareness is, okay, what like, I want freedom of the mind, more freedom of the mind. Quick side note on that, one of my students got on a call with me yesterday, and we were working on some stuff, and she just said, oh my gosh, your energy's so good. And I hear that a lot, and I realize that my energy is very good, and that's a big benefit that I bring to the people who work with me. And that's very empowering moment. I'm like, oh yeah, that's how do I talk about that? Anyhow, where am I going with this? Sorry, I'm going to hit pause for a sec. And oh yes, as I've rearranged the living room, there's lots of cool new view corridors. So I'm seeing lots more of the view of the outside of not the box. Oh my gosh, it's so incredible. I'm like, there's a whole big wide world out there. I don't want to make it sound dramatic or overplay it, but literally it's like, oh yeah, sitting on the couch, looking outside through the windows. It's beautiful. It is freaking beautiful where I live. And I am, like I said on the previous episode or two, seeing more sunsets, seeing more of the palm trees, seeing more of the view I have of downtown Encinitas, of the ocean, there's this one view corridor out my front door that I love. It's very open, and all you see are, the palm trees and the bushes and the flowers and all these things of this street that I live on. It's very cool, and there's a lot of old growth trees, and it's just beautiful. Anyhow, on to the main points of this podcast. So, of this episode. One, I notice when I go to cook dinner, and that's the habits. Like when the habits get triggered, and I have remorse, or it's not remorse. It's a little bit of remorse. Euphoric recall. That's it. Euphoric recall. That's where your memories are very fond, but the reality isn't true to what you remember. So, for example, when I go to cook dinner, I would usually turn on the box, turn on some show, whatever, and or a movie. So I was into Dune for a while, watching Dune again and again. It's very comforting to have Dune on in the background, and when my favorite parts come on, you can kind of watch it more. And so the Elvis movie, other movies that I just love, I would play those a lot, and it was very cool. But also Chopped, or whatever series I was re-binging. Anyhow, I would go to start cooking, and my brain would be like, oh yeah, I get to watch Chopped, because I was very into Chopped for many years. And so I was like, oh, I can't watch Chopped, it's so fun. That was the euphoric recall. That's what my brain was telling me. Wouldn't it be nice to watch Chopped while you're cooking? But guess what? Chopped was so painful to watch. So painful to watch. It became so painful to watch. Great show, but I've seen enough of it, and it just was hurting my head. God was like, enough of this. I'm going to make this hurt your head. Or whatever show. So a couple of shows. I think The Sopranos. I was like, oh yeah, I get to watch The Sopranos. And the reality is I was watching The Sopranos again, and it was like, yeah, this is kind of, it's kind of not the most positive, uplifting content, for one, but also it's just, I don't know, it was kind of just painful to watch. And so, just making it through that euphoric recall, right? We just got to let that flow through sometimes, and breathe it out, and trust, and just make it through that. So there was then, and so now what I do is I'll either just cook in silence or turn on some music, and love both of those. So over the past couple of weeks, I've been really enjoying that. Once I make it through the trigger of, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be nice to watch Chopped while you're cooking? And then there is when I eat. So when I eat, that's where it's like, oh yeah, I get to sit down and eat and watch something. And that's where a little bit of sadness is, or again, that euphoric recall. And so it's like to just let that flow through, make it over that little bit of a hump, and and trust that eating in silence, or eating with some music playing, is nice, and it really is. So there's that. And then, of course, I had taken the TV off the wall with all the, speakers and all that, and put it sort of to the side, because it was the experiment of, well, I'm going to take this down, but what if I want to put it back up? So there's the TV calling to me saying, you can put me back up. Anyway, after 4 or 5 days, I cleared some space in the garage, and have moved it into the garage. And then I finally moved the subwoofer too. That was the last thing. It took me another 3 or 4 days to move the subwoofer. And that's the thing that makes the bass for any of you non-soundies. So I finally moved that to the into the garage too. That was actually a 2-step process. That was moving it from the place that I had it tucked away, so it's kind of hidden, but you still get the nice sound effect of it, of the subwoofer. So then I moved it to the spot where I always move stuff. That the next stage is the garage or donation or whatever. So I moved it to there for a couple days, and then I finally put it in the garage. Anyway, so all the TV, sound gear, streaming gear, Roku, all that in the garage. That reminds me, I need to put the remotes in the garage too. And guess what? I lied. There is going to be a part 8. Part 7 will not be the last part. I'm going to do part 8, man's inability to sit alone in a room. That's the that's the root of all the problems in the world today. I love that thought. I'm going to riff on that a little bit, and that will be part 8. All right, enjoy the day. And actually, I've got a couple more things to say. I've been clean and sober forever, it seems. 37 years. Yeah, that counts as forever. And I haven't had to relapse back onto alcohol or drugs. And, that's through a lot of 12-step recovery work, following those frameworks. And I've got to quit lots of things over the years. Gambling, relationships of a certain kind. What do I want to say? You looked past the red flags because you're like, I like the validation I get. I like the intimacy that I get. I can't sit in a room alone by myself, so I need another person there, kind of a thing. Oh my gosh. But only a couple nights, that would be perfect. And along with that, I got a buddy who's reading Atomic Habits right now. I might dive into that. But it talks about how to break old habits and develop new good habits. And I realize these episodes are kind of light on that type of content. But this is a big takeaway. I know through decades of being clean and sober and breaking heavy habits, hard habits that have a really negative impact on your life if you don't break those habits. The reality is, it truly is one day at a time or 1 minute at a time, and making it through that rough spot of the craving, right? And the cravings for streaming have been very weak, which lets me know it's a good thing to get rid of it, because I don't know how to say it. I don't know. It was clearly the right thing to do. So, there's the communicating about our feelings. There's the taking accountability, right? That's a big thing in the 12 steps, like doing an inventory of our life and how do we treat people, places, and things as a result of, of what we're doing, or not even as a result of. It could be, what are we doing, and inventorying that and having extreme clarity so that we clean up that part of our past. We clean that up. We clean up those behaviors, and then we're not compelled to do the addictive habit. Does that make sense? So that's a big part of it. It's like, clean up what's going on in my life, and then it's easy to get rid of the streaming. And yeah, for a while there will be the compulsion to want to be able to stream, but once you make it past that compulsion and you've rebuilt the new habits, what you're doing instead, and a lot of that's being of service, making amends, taking accountability. And fortunately, the ramifications of me streaming bad content on TV are super light, so it's not that big a deal. But the process still holds. Breaking a habit's breaking a habit. And anyway, maybe one day I'll go deep on atomic habits and all that stuff. I really just want to say, the purpose of these episodes is to say, taking the TV down, getting rid of that streaming, for me, has been huge benefits. And well worth the random thoughts of, I mischopped. If that makes sense. So I would encourage everybody to take down the box on the wall, cancel your streaming services, or stream away if that's a fulfilling thing for you and you feel like it's a healthy way to detach or learn or whatever it is, whatever it's doing for you. Enough. Stay tuned for part 7, and man's inability to sit alone in a room is the root cause of the problems of the world.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.